You're listening to WGUR 95.3 The Noise. The best music you'll find here, there, anywhere. WGUR 95.3 The Noise.
Hey, I'm Isaiah Smith, you're a Monday Morning Sports Junkie, and you're listening to Waking Up with Thunder on WGUR 95.3 The Noise. Good morning, Milledgeville. This is your Monday Morning Sports Junkie, Isaiah Smith, and I am live with another edition for you guys this beautiful sunny Monday morning. We hope you guys have had a great start, and we thank you guys for getting up early to listen to me this morning. Going to run through some stuff real quick here. Got a special guest coming with us this morning. We'll be live this morning from Milledgeville. Mr. Bailey Miller will be in the studio in, I believe, around 15 to 20 minutes. So stay tuned for that. We'll be talking some NFL football. We got just about a whole show planned for you guys. Nothing but NFL football today. It's going to be great, so stick around for that. But first, we got to get through some housekeeping stuff. First, we're going to start with some college football. A great weekend. Got a little disclaimer for you guys. We're not going to recap the election. You've heard that. It's happened. It's over. And it's like Jim Harbaugh. It's completely irrelevant to what we're trying to do today, so we're not going to bring it up anymore. But the best weekend of the college football year by far. Complete pandemonium. We've been waiting for it all year, and we finally got it. It delivered. And, I couldn't have been more excited. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 8, number 10, and number 18 all fall in upsets. Michigan fell to Iowa on the last-second field goal. Clemson fell in similar fashion. Washington just got overwhelmed by USC. A&M lost a close one to Ole Miss, and the freshman quarterback Shea Patterson. Talk about those freshman quarterbacks in the SEC. I think they're in a good way there with Eason and Jalen Hurts from Alabama. Shea Patterson, I believe South Carolina has a young guy that they're going with as well. So keep an eye out for them in the coming years. You could have a crop of great quarterbacks there. And then Georgia gets Kirby's first signature win, knock off number 8 or number 9 Auburn, I believe, and then Virginia Tech, they keep the door open in the ACC Coastal race with a big loss to Georgia Tech. But, before we get into that, got to go ahead and jump on, got to plug college basketball a little bit. It got underway with a couple of great games on last Friday night, and they're going to look to keep the momentum rolling tonight into tomorrow. Games start at 10 p.m., and then they go pretty much for 24 hours into tomorrow night on ESPN and ESPN2. You're going to have some great games tomorrow night. They're going to have a game day edition for you guys at 6 p.m. and then they're going to follow it with Kentucky, Michigan State. Then you're going to see the college football playoff rankings show, and then you're going to see Duke and Kansas around 9:30 or 10, maybe 10:30. But a few games that'll be on, for some games to watch for me. Obviously, the games start tonight at 10, but tomorrow morning at 11, you see SF Austin, the Lumberjacks, take on Longwood at 11 a.m. So you're going to get a look at the Lumberjacks, see what they can do after having 2 nice runs in the NCAA tournament. I'm excited to see what they can do. And then at 1:15, the game following, you get Dayton at Alabama. I've been excited to see this Alabama bunch since Avery Johnson took over as head coach down there, and so you get to see what he can do. He already grabbed a top recruit in Colin Sexton last week, a kid from Georgia, a guard, one of the top players in the 2017 class, so it'll be exciting to see how he can build that program, and you'll have a good test in Dayton, a team that is routinely in the NCAA tournament. And then at 3:30, Oregon at Baylor. You'll see Oregon without their maybe best player, Dylan Brooks, and it'll be that way for a bit of this early season, but I'm ready to see if they can follow up that Elite 8 run and make a Final Four push this year. They're one of the favorites, and I think they can do it. And then, your nightcaps here, you got number 2 Kentucky, number 12 Michigan State, Tom Izzo's reloaded Spartans, and then Coach Calipari's reloaded Kentucky squad. That's going to be a heavyweight fight. Don't want to miss that tomorrow night. I believe that will be at 6:30 or 7. Kentucky, I saw some of them last night against Canisius, I believe, and they look hard to stop when they get that tempo going. They're up tempo. They play fast. They run and gun. They throw it up before. They have a lot of really good athletes and guys who can hurt you in a multitude of ways. So that'll be a fun thing to watch. Then you got the nightcap, number 1 Duke, number 3 Kansas. 2 teams who I'm not tabbing to win it all this year. I think Kentucky's the best team right now, but Duke they say they're the clear-cut favorite after getting all those freshmen in, Coach K, and it'll be good to see them get tested early. They will be without one of their top players, I believe. He's out with a knee injury at this point, but it'll still be a good test for the Blue Devils, and also for Kansas trying to defend that streak of I believe 12 or 13 straight Big 12 titles. And then also over on Fox Sports 1, You'll get a look at Maryland, Georgetown. They'll play at 6:30. And then you got number 9 Wisconsin and number 22 Creighton. Creighton, a team that is, routinely in the tournament, routinely in the top 25, a team, mid-major, kind of a mid-major, but they routinely, make the big dance and make plays. So it'll be a fun game to watch there as well. So, going to go ahead and skip over that a little bit and jump into some college football. We're going to recap. Got, I think, 3 games to recap for you guys today. But the first one, Georgia-Auburn. Georgia, the Dogs grabbed Kirby's first signature win in probably the most appropriate way possible. And, I said this is, dare I say it, an Alabama-like defensive performance from the Dogs Saturday. I mean, you absolutely shut down Auburn's offense. It's been as hot as anyone in the country right now, and it's the best defensive performance I've seen from this team in 2 or 3 years. And the only touchdown of the game for the Dogs came on a pick 6 by Maurice Smith, but it just shows how good this defense is and also how much they've improved over the course of this season under Mel Tucker and Kirby Smart. I mean, you didn't allow a first down in the second half of this game, and you held Auburn's offense under wraps, with the exception of that one touchdown drive when Kerryon Johnson, I believe, scored a touchdown. But, 37 passing yards from a guy like Sean White, who has been as hot of a passer as anyone in the SEC or in the nation, arguably, over the past 3 to 4 weeks. And so, just a testament to what this secondary can do, led by Maurice Smith, the grad transfer, and then, guys like Quincy Mauger and, different guys like that. But only giving up 127 on the ground as a team. This group gashed Arkansas a few weeks ago. And once again, another testament to the defensive line. Trent Thompson looked outstanding, as did Jonathan Ledbetter. The secondary, like I said, led by fifth-year man Maurice Smith. And even though the defense carried this group once again, I can't say enough about the offense, especially that offensive line. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest day for them. They didn't play, the cleanest game, but they didn't shoot themselves in the foot either. They kept things really simple, like I thought they do, very vanilla against Auburn's, really good defensive line, 5 to 6 personnel groupings. Young guys can, play and react instead of having to think so much. And, it all started with the run game, so kudos to the offensive line. I mean, this is the best team we've been able to run the football against all year. 135 on the ground. I mean, this year I think that'll get it done. And the salute to the offensive line. They did have mistakes and had holes in their game, obviously, but I can look past it. I mean, after the way they fought, the way they just fought to overcome the deficiencies, the shortcomings, and to get these running backs into open field. Chubb got over 100 yards on 23 carries, Michelle 55 on 10 carries, and Jacob Eason looked as good as ever. Salute to the O-line again. Gave the young man plenty of time to pass the ball most of the afternoon. Showed what he can do when he has a clean pocket. He dropped about 5 dimes down the field. Obviously a missed pass interference call that could have set up another offensive touchdown. But can't say enough about him, and we know what Eason can do. It's not a question what his skill set is when he's protected. And then you can't say enough about the freshman receivers. Charlie Warner, big third down on the drive that gave us a 10-7 lead when we let Rodrigo Blankenship put a field goal through there in the third quarter. And then Isaac Nauta and Riley Ridley were huge. Ridley had 3 catches for 89 yards, a beautiful one-handed grab in the first half down the sideline. And then Nauta 3 receptions for 43 yards, and he was Eason's safety blanket once again. Came through a couple times in the clutch when we needed him on third down. And I tweeted this during the game, but he gives me kind of a Gronk vibe with his skill, and I love it. I mean, anytime you're getting comparisons to the Patriots' amazing tight end, I mean, it's awesome. And he made plays at the most opportune times and really came through for this team on Saturday. So you can't say enough about what he has done for this team. So gonna keep rolling here, but salute for the Dogs. They're bowl eligible. They had a chance to get a winning record against some major rivals. You've already beaten South Carolina. If you beat Tech, and you've already knocked off Auburn, your only losses are Tennessee and Florida. So 3-2 against major rivals this year. Not a bad deal. And you got a real shot at being 8-4 on the year. You can't dispute that. Everyone thought we'd be 8-4 on the year, and you can't complain about that. I think that is just a testament to what Kirby Smart has done this year. I mean, it looked like we weren't going to be bowl eligible at a point, but now we're a slightly unorthodox way of doing it. Obviously had the loss to Vandy at home, but you beat Auburn at home. That's an excellent win. And so I think that you're also making headway there. You're progressing, obviously, and you're doing what you need to do. But looking forward, here, obviously a big win against Auburn, but Another big win because several recruits were in the building on Saturday in between the hedges. And so, a 3-star receiver, he tweeted about how special Athens was on game day. And I think that is just, something that all those guys got to experience, got to be a part of, and really got to see on Saturday. So an awesome, just thing to get that win. Let those guys experience that, see that. But if you're Georgia, you're right where you want to be. You got to make a legit shot at being 8-4 this year. You're rolling right now, and you're gonna head into a not the best bowl game. You're not even looking at Capital One, but you're looking at a decent bowl game. So we're gonna roll forward a little bit here. Got a couple more minutes for you. I got to run out and grab Bailey, but Clemson, Pittsburgh, Clemson. Was stunned by this loss, I think, and it really started. I'll give you guys the condensed version, but it started, short and simple. Pitt's ability to stop Clemson's running attack. I mean, they held the Tigers to 50 yards on the ground on the day. Wayne Gallman, 2 yards a carry, 36 yards on 18 touches, and they forced Deshaun Watson to throw that thing 70 times. Think about that, 70 times in a football game that did not include any overtime. That's no good if you're Clemson. I mean, he completed 52 of them for 580 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he also had 3 interceptions, and none was more costly than the one in the fourth quarter where he should have just thrown it away, took the field goal to put the team up by, I believe it would have been 11. And really put the game out of reach. You're a stop, or even let them score and just recover the onside kick away from putting that game away if you're Clemson. But he forced it in the end zone, got picked off. Pitt marches down the field, scores to make it a 2-point game, and then they kick it deep, get a stop, and then drive down and kick the game-winning field goal. But James Conner was his usual great self, 132 on 20 touches. And, this just showed what can happen to a team when they don't play their style. Clemson didn't run it. They couldn't run it, and it proved to be the ultimate difference. And you shouldn't, if you're Clemson, lose any game when Deshaun Watson gets nearly 600 in the air. That should be a day where he's cruising and he says, hey, look at me, I'm the best player in the nation. But moving forward here, one last game for you guys before we take a quick break. Washington, USC. The Huskies, I think their college football playoff hopes have been dashed, and they're possibly over. It's looking like over to me from here. They lost to this surging USC bunch led by Clay Helton. Washington, they struggled offensively. Jake Browning couldn't really get it going. USC maybe has the best defensive line that Washington has seen all year, and it showed. I mean, they had 3 sacks. Jake Browning was uncomfortable, showed in his numbers, 17 for 36, 259, a touchdown, but 2 interceptions also at the end of the game. I mean, he escaped the pocket one time, flashed the athleticism, only to fall down with absolutely no one around him. And then the following play, from his own end zone, steps up in the pocket and falls down after the pocket just kind of collapsed around him. He just fell on his own. So it wasn't the best day for the young guy. It wasn't the best day for that team either. But, if you're Washington, you're still thinking you're in decent shape. You got to win the conference, obviously. But after Saturday, you're still not out. I think they only fell to number 5 in the AP poll. I think the playoff committee is going to drop them a little bit more than this, and definitely because of their strength of schedule and the lack thereof. But I think this loss, I think it eliminates the Pac-12, barring further chaos, which is definitely possible. It eliminates the Pac-12 from the college football playoff discussion. I believe this loss here, unless you see a Clemson lose again, maybe Alabama or someone else of that nature fall again. I think the Pac-12 is running the risk of not getting a team in. So I'm going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I'm going to talk some college football playoff poll where I think some teams should shake out. And then, after that, we'll look to jump into some NFL football. But stick with me. I have some Imagine Dragons coming your way, and I will be right back after this quick break. What's up, guys? We're back. We're talking college football playoff poll here. We do have Bailey Miller in the studio right now. He is getting ready and getting in makeup for the Periscope broadcast. So we'll have him ready for you guys in just a few minutes. But we're going to run through this top 10 poll, my top 10 poll, and how I think the playoff committee should grade this thing out. But number one, there's no need to rehash this, and we've talked about this before. Alabama's clearly the number 1 team in the nation. They're the best team. They look head and shoulders better than everyone else. And then number 2, I'm taking Louisville. They've been looking like the second best team of late. They're, close loss to a 1-loss team who I think has the best shot of making it back into the playoff. You can't deny what Lamar Jackson has done and the way they've been beating inferior opponents, barring Virginia. But they look like the second best team in the country right now. Then number 3, Ohio State. They're the obvious choice for here. I think they may even have a case for number 2, but they're easily in the top 4 after this weekend, after what they've been doing and the wins they've gotten. And they ultimately control their own destiny. You got to beat Michigan at the end of the year. And then you got to win the Big Ten championship if you're them, but also you got to get a little bit of help. They're also at the mercy of Penn State. So even if they win out and Penn State wins out, Penn State wins that Big Ten East division, and Penn State's playing for a Big Ten title and even maybe a college football playoff berth against probably Wisconsin, and the winner of that game may even have a shot at the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out, and if the committee gives the Big Ten 2 teams in Ohio State, or even the Ohio State Michigan winner and a Big Ten champion, if that's not one of those 2. But number 4, I'm going with Clemson. Even though they lost on Saturday, they still look like the next best team, and they're the clear-cut favorite to win the ACC. They hold the tiebreaker. If you don't remember, them and Louisville are on the same side, so that doesn't mean that Louisville gets another crack at Clemson, or another crack at even getting to the ACC championship, unless Clemson decides to lose again, which I'm not sure that they will. But this makes sense. They're the only one-loss team, I think, still in the top 4 based on their strength of schedule, their level of talent, and the way that that we know they can play with their playmakers, Mike Williams and guys like that. So number 5, I'm going to rock with Wisconsin. They're another team benefiting from Saturday's chaos, and they're back in the Big Ten race for sure. They're in the same state as Ohio State and Michigan. You got to win out, but if they win out, they're the Big Ten champion, and definitely the Big Ten champion, and they're probably in, which is just a statement of how crazy this year has been and how insane all this has been since it started just a couple of weeks ago with the playoff rankings, really. And then my number 6 team, Penn State, big win versus Ohio State earlier, and they're in business now. They're in a position where even if Ohio State wins out, if they win out, they win the Big Ten East, like I said earlier. And there's about 500 scenarios where Penn State can even lose, maybe one game. And if Ohio State beats Michigan, they're in the Big Ten championship because of the tiebreaker with Ohio State. So I think the most likely scenario out of all this is Penn State's going to be in the Big Ten championship game from the East, and this is complete chaos. What if Wisconsin beats Penn State, but Ohio State's only loss is to Penn State? Does the Big Ten get 2 teams, or does the ACC get 2 teams, or does nobody get 2 teams, or does Washington make some kind of late push, or does Alabama lose, their last 3 games and not get in? So there's all kinds of crazy scenarios and ways this thing could shake out. So it's going to be a fun ride from really even 7 and 8. Michigan is the 7th ranked team I have right now. They're another team in a great situation to basically win out. And you're in, even though you lost against basically the Kardashians of college football in Iowa. Iowa's a team that they're famous for not really doing a lot. They win a subpar division a few times, and suddenly you're famous. But they're, I think, that some of the biggest posers in college football. They don't ever play anyone. They really don't test themselves out of conference. But it'll be interesting to see what the Wolverines can do going forward here. Iowa gained a bit of legitimacy in my eyes after beating a Michigan team who's pretty good. I think has a pretty good defense on Saturday. And then number 8, Washington. They probably need this thing to implode in the Big Ten and the ACC. Maybe even need Alabama to drop a game, which is probably not going to happen, especially if they get through the Iron Bowl undefeated. So I think you may even need Alabama to drop 2 and Clemson to lose another game for Washington to get back in. And the same is true for your Big 12 teams who found a way to stay alive on Saturday after being basically out of it. I got Oklahoma at 9 and West Virginia 10. And these 2 teams, they're on life support in the college football playoff, realm of things in that big, I guess, vast solar system of possibilities. But, they're barely alive despite, having 2 losses early, and Oklahoma is. And, the Houston loss doesn't look great now. They're a 2-loss team, but the Ohio State loss isn't terrible for Oklahoma. But they would probably need some kind of nightmare implosion, even larger than the one Washington needs to still get in, even if they win out. And then West Virginia, another team like Oklahoma, they're only a 1-loss team though, but they'd still need a major cannibalism, in the standings, maybe even the SEC, because they're a team. Their strength of schedule is not there. They're not. And they just haven't played, in one of the tougher conferences in America. But they do have a close loss to Oklahoma State, and how big is that now? I mean, if you win that game, they got to be kicking themselves, because if you win that game, you're in. You're the 4 seed. You're the number 4 team in America right now. If you win that game and you're West Virginia, instead you're 6 spots out and looking in. and you're really trying to make sure you just lock up the Big 12 championship and handle your business there. But those are my top 10 rankings. I'll have that graphic up for you guys in just a few minutes. But we're going to take one more quick break before I bring Bailey back in. We're going to run through some college football picks. He'll be on live with us. We'll be on Periscope as well, so be sure to check it out there. But stick with us. We have a quick song coming at you guys in the break, but don't worry, we will be right back.
There have been stranger things on the radio. You're listening to WGUR 95.3. The Noise.
What's up, guys? We're back. I have Bailey Miller in the studio with me right now. He's sitting to my right. It'll be my left if you're watching on Periscope. Be sure to check that out at 953_highlight. You can see us there or listen live on gcsuradio.com, I believe, is the website for that. But once again, thank you, Bailey, for being here this morning. Thank you for getting up early, even though we don't have our 9 o'clock class. I didn't realize that when I asked you to do this, but thank you for still agreeing. But we're going to pick some college football games. Always fun to have a guest picker in here. And then a little later after that, we're going to jump into some NFL football. Bailey, I'm not going to hold it against him that he is a Cowboys fan, but I'm not saying I have a lot of great stuff to say about the Cowboys. That's all I'm going to say for that right now.
Don't worry.
But, first game of the weekend here, it'll be a Thursday nighter this weekend. Louisville, Houston, not as big as everyone previously thought back in September. A lot of people thought it would be kind of a play-in game, and one of these teams would be in, the other would be out. But, this one, it's going to be a good one, I think. Two high-flying, good football teams on both sides of the ball. So who are you taking there, Bailey?
I'm going to have to take Houston. I might as well stick with the upset trend going on here lately. I think it could be a bigger game, as big as people thought it would be earlier on. Not so much for Houston to get into the Final Four, but more so to ruin Louisville's season. I know they'd love nothing more between that high-powered offense. I expect to see a lot of big plays down the field that night.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, it should be exciting, but I think this one's bigger for Louisville right now because if it's for them. If you win out, you're basically in, and this is a huge resume booster if you're Louisville. And I think that Houston, they're not the greatest defensive team in the world, don't get me wrong, but they still hold their own. They have a solid front four, even a front seven, if you will, and they can do things that a lot of those SEC type teams will do. So it'll be a good barometer, I think, for the Louisville Cardinals and Bobby Petrino and even Lamar Jackson for them to see what they can do. So, but I think Lamar Jackson is just going to be too much. He's going to prove to be a different monster and a bigger monster than Houston has seen really all year this far in the season. I'm taking Louisville in this one. I don't normally call the overtimes. I don't think I've picked an overtime game or picked a game to go to overtime all year, but I'm going to say this one gets to overtime. I'm taking Louisville by 7 in overtime. But we're going to go ahead and jump forward here. Ohio State, Michigan State. Michigan State team that's struggling. I believe they're 2-7 on the year. They're not doing very well right now, but they could spoil Ohio State's playoff chances this Saturday. So, who are you taking in that one?
I think I got to take Ohio State here. I don't think Urban's going to let his boys ruin the chance they had before them. I know a big theme for them is proving to the world that they deserve to be where they are ever since last year, and I think this game is really going to be a huge statement to show that they deserve to stay where they're at in the rankings with a huge win over Michigan State here.
Yeah, I'm going to have to echo that. I think you said it all. If this were last Saturday, you could go ahead and take Michigan State, put it down, and take the money there in Vegas. But it's this Saturday. Everybody's going to come out with this renewed focus. I mean, I even think teams like Georgia and Florida, teams like that who may be playing an inferior opponent, playing one of those cupcake games that you see all the time in the SEC. They're going to come in more focused. Michigan's going to be focused, because they know how easy it is to be upset after last weekend. So I'm going to take Ohio State in this one after they've been given new life, basically. I think they're going to win this one big. But moving forward here, Washington State, Colorado, a big one out west. And it's a big one in the Pac-12 because Washington State, they can take the Pac-12, out of college football playoff contention in a couple weekends if they knock off Washington in the Apple Cup game. But this one will be big because Colorado's trying to roll into the college football playoff, maybe under the radar, if you will. They've been pretty hot of late. So who do you have in this one?
I think I got to take Colorado. They're going to stay with the hot hand here, and I think it's a pretty staunch matchup of two solid teams, Colorado being the next highest ranked, but I think they're going to keep it rolling here and take the game on the ground, really manage the clock. therefore manage the game.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. The Cougars, Washington State, they're gonna throw the football around. Mike Leach, he's known for that air raid, running gun type offense, and so they're gonna try to air it out and put up a fight. But I think Colorado's too much. Like you said, their ground game will be a little too much, and I think they'll keep this thing rolling for a Pac-12 championship collision with Washington here in about 3 weeks. So. Going to keep moving forward. Going to jump into the SEC, a big game in terms of SEC East standings. Obviously, Alabama's already locked up the SEC West. You're very welcome for that, Alabama. But Florida and LSU, these two Florida's still trying to win the East. The East is still wide open, or not wide open. It's a 2-team race now between Florida and Tennessee. But if Florida loses, I believe Tennessee takes it. Florida wins, and I believe they have the SEC East championship, and they have the opportunity to go probably get pistol whipped in the Georgia Dome by Alabama. But Bailey, in this one, who do you like?
I think Josh Dobbs is going to be LSU's biggest fan here as they pull it out against Florida. I don't know how you pick against Leonard Fournette on the tear he's been on ever since playing that staunch Alabama defense. Roll Tide, baby. But I think LSU pulls out big here. I wonder how close it's going to be. I feel like it could come down right to the wire, but I think that depends on what Florida team shows up. But I know which LSU team is going to show up. I think that's why they're going to take it.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to see a feisty LSU team, a team that wants to still prove themselves. And you're going to see them be fired up by a coach in Ed Orgeron, who's basically fighting for a job. I mean, he doesn't want to go back to being the defensive line coach or go, be Lane Kiffin's assistant out west or something like that. He's fighting to get that head coach job, and he thinks his name should be in the hat, as it should. I think you should at least give him the consideration because of the job he's done with this program being kind of on the rocks and on the ropes after Les Miles being fired, even before midseason, and him, turning this thing around, playing Alabama as close as he did. What a statement to their defense. Their defense played great as well as they probably could against that Alabama team. But, this one, I don't think this one's going to be very close. It's in Death Valley. They may give it a nighttime tilt and let them start this one around 7:30 or 8. So that's a disaster if you're Florida as well. Everything's working against you. Then you got to deal with Leonard Fournette and the talented runner he is, and Darius Geis as well. They're going to run all over Florida in Death Valley. I think this one won't even be close. By the end of the game. But looking forward, last game we got here before we grab a quick break. Oklahoma and West Virginia, basically a Big 12 title game. I mean, the winner of this one essentially wins the Big 12 and stays on life support in the college football playoff discussion, while the loser will fade into oblivion and hope for a New Year's Six bowl, where I thought they should have been long before now. But Bailey, who's your team in this one? Who are you taking in this one?
I'm going to take the Sooners on this one. I think it's going to be a closer game than people realize, but I think the Sooners are going to take it, especially off the legs of Perrine there. He's been having a great under-the-radar season. I think he's going to continue that, carry the team, really put them on his back here as they try to manage the clock and really just hope for the game to get over so they can hang on, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. Oklahoma, they're fighting injuries, and, they're going to get some tough play, obviously, from West Virginia and Dana Holgerson's bunch. But Bob Stoops, they're a very good football team, and they're gonna fight. They're gonna keep it rolling. This is another one I could see being a high-scoring affair and even getting into overtime. But I think ultimately it'll be a big win for the Sooners. They're gonna keep it rolling, stay on that life support as I've said before, and hope that some type of miracle scenario unfolds in the other conferences back east or even out west in the Pac-12. So I'm taking Oklahoma and Boomer Sooner in this one. But we're going to grab a quick break. Like I said earlier, we got some music for you guys. And then when we get back, we will have our NFL football special. We'll have about another hour here with you guys to talk NFL football. And when we get back, we're going to be grading my team, the Atlanta Falcons, and Bailey's team, the Dallas Cowboys. So you don't want to miss that. Stick with us. It could get heated in here in the studio. But stay with us, and we will be right back.
Hello! We're the Radio Birds. You're listening to WGUR 95.3 FM, The Noise.com.
What's up, guys? We are back. This is your Monday Morning Sports Junkie live from Milledgeville, Georgia on 95.3 The Noise. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter or Periscope. You can watch the show live on Periscope, as a matter of fact, at 953_highlights. So I'm back with my guest co-host, Mr. Bailey Miller. Thank him again for being here. And we're gonna roll through some midseason report cards for some NFL teams. You know, we're past the midseason point. Obviously, Week 8 has come and gone. I believe about almost 3 weeks ago now. It'll be 3 weeks this weekend. But we're gonna grade some teams that are trending in maybe opposite directions, if you will. They're trending nonetheless, but and they're two of the hotter teams in the NFL. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to start with Bailey's Dallas Cowboys. I know we put my Atlanta Falcons first, but let's go ahead and start with Bailey's Dallas Cowboys. I want to hear how he grades this unit, if you will. So we're going to go ahead and let's start with the offensive line. Where are you putting this unit?
Man, thanks for letting the better team go first of all, but I think you got to give the offensive line an A++++. I don't know how you don't. I don't know how you don't go ahead and hand the league MVP to guys like Zach Martin. You've got your whole offensive line there making the way for their future Rookie of the Year, if not MVP of the season. I mean, they're the life force of this team right now, and they're finally looking like the offensive line everyone said they are and could be.
Yeah, definitely. The offensive line, I gave them an A+ as well. I mean, they're probably the premier offensive line. If you're a team in the NFL, this is who you're modeling your offensive line after. I think, if any team in the league has this offensive line, Cleveland wins 8 games with this offensive line. No questions asked. So, I mean, I have to give them an A+ with guys like you said, Zach Martin, and guys like that who can go up there and just maul guys up front and pave the way for your running backs, and then turn around and step back and pass block and protect your quarterback and keep a guy like Dak Prescott clean and off the ground. And I don't know if his jersey had a spot on it yesterday. I think they were wearing the white jerseys, and I don't know if he even got one grass stain on that thing. And that's just a testament to those guys up front. I mean, I have read some reports that say these guys, all of them, could win league MVP. You could actually give the league MVP to Dallas's offensive line, and I think they're deserving. I mean, the job they've done with the circumstances they've faced with a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back, and Dez Bryant being out in the time that he spent off the football field this year. So I don't think there's any way you can not grade these guys as an A+ and give them the highest possible mark for their midseason, their midterm, if you will. So, looking forward, the quarterbacks, obviously a bit of a controversy. We can go ahead and discuss that now. First of all, grade your quarterbacks, and then, go ahead and tell me, what do you think in this, the Romo Prescott debate? Where do you think, Jerry Jones, who I think has the final say, where do you think his verdict should be?
I'm gonna roll with another A+ here. I've been a big fan ever since I've seen Dak Prescott progress through the NFL. I'll be honest, when we picked him, I was a little bit upset. I was holding out for Penn State quarterback coming out, Christian Hackenberg, but man, am I glad that the Raiders took him before we could, because Dak Prescott has been nothing short of incredible, possessing all signs of a possibly future elite quarterback. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but man, what a game manager in the highest sense possible he is. I think that's why you got to give him an A+. And really, last night, Jerry Jones, everyone in the world could recognize that ended any debate between who starts, him or Romo. Even according to Jerry Jones, which after the game all but alluded to Romo would remain the backup even when inactive. Even Bleacher Report releasing reports saying Tony Romo has spoken up finally and said he would be okay with being the backup in lieu of this team's success behind Dak Prescott.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna give the young kid an A. I think A+. You maybe reaching a bit. I don't know if there is an A+ quarterback in the league right now, but I tend to be a bit of a tough grader on these I guess free response questions, if you will. Tend to be a little bit tougher grader for these guys here, but I'm going to give Dak Prescott an A, and there aren't that many A quarterbacks either, especially rookies who would grade out as an A. I mean, he's got all the intangibles, does everything correctly. A classy guy, a guy who does everything on and off the field right. I don't know if you've heard anything out of him in the media or in anything like that. No negative headlines, and I'm just in awe of what he's done on the field as well. I mean, he does have the best offensive line in football, but having, a rookie beside him in Ezekiel Elliott, who is one of the better running backs in the NFL right now, he's, found a way to be, like you said, a game manager in the highest sense of the word. I don't know. I don't want to compare him to guys like Matt Ryan or guys like that, but he does give me that that high tier game manager feel, and I think he can surpass that. He's got the makings to jump into stardom. He's a very athletic guy, can use his legs, a la Russell Wilson or guys like that. But he can also stand in the pocket and hurt you with his arm, and find his receivers down the field. He has a great receiving core. Cole Beasley, Des Bryant, Jason Witten, guys like that who can make plays. So I'm gonna give him an A. I think he is an A quarterback. He's top tier, definitely top tier game manager already at this point as a rookie. And also, as far as the debate goes, you said it all. I mean, there's no reason to take this team's rhythm away, take this team's chemistry away, and take this guy out of a position to be successful. I mean, Tony Romo, we know the guy he can be. We know he can lead this team to 12-4. We know he can, get to the second round of the playoffs or get into a championship game and fumble a snap and basically basically rob his team of a chance to go to the Super Bowl. We know he can do that. So I think you got to roll with the young kid, roll with him, and if his play just gets so bad, I think you have to go to the veteran. But until that point, you got to keep Dak Prescott in there. You got to let him ride the wave, and who knows, maybe he does bring a Super Bowl home to Dallas for the first time in years. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump forward here. Look at the running backs. Personally, I'm going to give the running backs an A. I think Ezekiel Elliott is as good as a runner as you will see in the National Football League this year and for probably many years to come, as long as that offensive line stays intact and stays healthy and keeps doing the things that it does. But Bailey, where are you going to grade Zeke and Alfred Morris and all those guys?
I got to give him an A. I think Zeke is the clear-cut winner for Rookie of the Year. I don't know how he doesn't get it. Hopefully, even by the end of the season, he might even shatter the great Eric Dickerson's record. He's in that company. Most everyone, the only people they can compare him to are Adrian Peterson and Eric Dickerson. So I think that definitely deserves an A. But more than anything, what people don't realize is there wasn't even a drive last night against the Steelers. Zeke looked a little winded, and they were able to throw in Alfred Morris. They were able to throw in Darren McFadden, and I think that does wonders and definitely raises the A mark for them. Just they have a stable that people don't realize back there. Or for a bunch of really good guys, Alfred Morris, who just a few seasons ago was a breakout player, and now he's a very solid backup for when Zeke's legs get a little tired. He can come in, and that's a huge 1-2 punch for them. And I know the Cowboys have that offensive line, but the thing that's so special about Zeke is even guys like Zach Martin are coming out and saying, man, we're excited to see what this kid does when we do our jobs. I think that's just a mark of a really good player and really special running back.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think any team would have been fortunate to grab him a lot, and some people even said that, he doesn't warrant being the number 4 overall pick. But, I mean, a guy like him, but you also hear guys like Mike Tomlin, I believe. They were talking about it during the game yesterday. Mike Tomlin even came out and said that that this guy was a special player. He knew he was a special player, and he was, one of the best players in the draft class. I think I think that just is a testament to what Zeke can do, the way he plays the game, obviously, and his skill set. So I'm gonna get, like I said, give him an A. And I've really been impressed with what he's done. I thought he would have a very good year. I thought he would eclipse 1,000 yards, but I did not think he would get to 1,000 yards at this point in the season. He has, I think he's going to shatter Eric Dickerson's record. He's drawing comparisons to guys like Emmitt Smith already for the way he makes defenders who plug up holes, makes defenders miss in the hole and then goes for 15, 20 more yards. And you saw it on that the touchdown run that won the game last night. The offensive line opened a sliver, and it was for a fraction of a second, and Zeke saw it, hit it, and, I mean, he was gone for, 20-something yards for the win.
20-something yards, like 7 more fantasy points for the both of us. I know we appreciated that.
Yeah, I appreciated that very much. I was actually sitting there, I was hoping, hey, I hope he breaks one right here. I knew they were going to run the football. So, hey, maybe Zeke will break it and get in the end zone for me right here, and what do you know, he got in the end zone. So, I appreciated it. Fantasy owners all across the world appreciated it. And if you're listening, Zeke, we thank you very much, and we think you're a phenomenal player. So we're going to go ahead and move forward here. Going to look at some receivers here. Going to try to keep this quick. We do have to cover defense. We're going to go into receivers and the defense here for just another few minutes here. But receivers, Bailey, where are you giving these wide receivers? We know Dez has missed time. They've had their errors, if you will. But where are you going to grade these receivers?
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give him a B, honestly. I'm very critical of Dez Bryant just because I know the player he can be and just how much potential he has been, but potential for a few years. But last night, and it's games like last night that make me not want to trade him after his 2-year conditional is up. 6 receptions, especially that huge 3rd and 3 catch that was contested. I would say that him and Dak need to work on their goal line fade routes. But other than that, I think a lot of people don't understand how vital Cole Beasley is. I think he's the best small possession receiver in the NFL, and I think that he's someone the Patriots might want to trade their whole next draft for to fit in their offense.
Yeah, definitely. I think he and maybe Julian Edelman. Obviously, you can include guys like that in the same discussion. But Eric Decker, even maybe another guy you can maybe consider including. But I think he is one of the best, like you said, possession receivers in football, slot guy who can really get the job done. He is maybe not even a number 2 receiver. Maybe some people would grade him as a number 3. But for Dak Prescott and that Dallas Cowboys offense, he's a number 1. He's a number 1 receiver for them. Especially when Dez Bryant is out. I mean, he's Dak's, I think, most targeted receiver this year. And, Dez Bryant, like you said, a lot of people think he should be traded. I don't. I think he's a playmaker. I think he's a top-tier, top-caliber receiver when he wants to show up to play. And you can put him in the category with guys like, Julio and Odell Beckham even. Maybe those 2 guys, Antonio Brown and then Dez Bryant, they may be what you consider the top tier of NFL receivers, those guys who can just make plays on the football and go up and just affect the entire game, the landscape of an entire game, with their ability to just catch the football on offense. But I'm going to give the receivers a B, like you said. Going to echo that. I think you hit the nail on the head. They've been good, been bad. Obviously had the week 1, not disaster, but mistake from Terrence Williams, him not getting out of bounds when he should have. But other than that, this receiving corps I think has been pretty solid. They haven't dropped a lot of balls. They've helped the young quarterback out, and they've done their job. So I'm going to give them, B, above average, obviously, and excited to see them keep rolling. So we're going to run through the defense here. Going to try to do this a little bit quicker. So Bailey, go ahead and go through the whole defense. Just give me defensive line, linebackers, and then just give me the secondary. You can run through that all real quick there.
All right, let's get into it here. I think the defense really showed up huge last night. I think it was a big statement for the defense to say, hey, our offense isn't the only side of the ball on this team. Lawrence showed up huge with a lot of tackles for losses and a huge sack there on a 3rd, and I think it was 5 or something for the Steelers that they really needed that. I think our secondary's hurting, literally and figuratively. We got a few guys out from injury, Church, and I'm pretty sure who else we got out. I know we got another secondary guy out, but man, J.J. Wilcox just makes me excited to see the hits he's going to lay. And I got to give some credit to Sean Lee. I'm not a huge fan of Sean Lee and his lack of athleticism, but seeing him chase down Le'Veon Bell last night, he gave me some confidence in that linebacker core. I think I give the whole defense as a whole maybe a B-, C+, but I think they're getting the job done.
Yeah, definitely. I graded defensive line, obviously graded them out as a C+, gave the linebackers a B, and the safeties and corners I gave them a C. So I'm going to give them, put them in that C+, B- range. Obviously they've been doing their job. Sean Lee, not terribly athletic, but like you said, he gets the job done a lot of times for them at linebacker. And then, DeMarcus Lawrence making plays in the backfield, doing things of that nature. And, they are banged up in the secondary with the, safeties and corners, got some guys out due to injury, but they're looking to keep trending in the right direction. And I guess that's all you can ask if you're Jerry Jones. Their defense many thought was going to be a liability this year and the unit that was going to bring this team down even. But I think the defense is solid. I think they're kind of that Bill Belichick bend but don't break model, and he's shown that you can win Super Bowls and win championships with defenses of that caliber who bend but make sure they don't break. So I think that the defense is in a good spot. They stepped up last night, showed they can stop a top-tier quarterback, top-tier receiver in Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger. And so I think there's reason for optimism with this defense. They're going to improve. They're going to keep getting better as the playoffs roll around. So I think if you're a Dallas fan, you gotta keep looking forward. But that's all we got for the Cowboys right now. We're gonna, I'm sure, mention them as we get into Rookie of the Year discussion, MVP discussions, and things like that. So, but we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back in a second. We're gonna discuss my hometown Atlanta Falcons. We're gonna discuss that and get some grades in for those guys. But stay with us, and we'll be right back after a quick break.
Did you hear? You're listening to WGUR 95.3 The Noise.
What's up, guys? We're back. We're talking some more NFL football for you guys. We have one more midseason report card, and then we're going to jump into some awards debates, if you will. Going to look at the Atlanta Falcons, my team, my squad. I think they are in a very, very good position right now to number one, win their division and make a push to see Dallas in the NFC Championship, or Seattle, or a team like that. So, the offensive line, we're not Dallas's offensive line, obviously. I'm going to go ahead and give us a B- because we've improved that much. Last year, this time, I'd have probably given us an F or a C- because that's how bad we were. We couldn't protect Matt Ryan. We struggled to really do anything. We ran the football, okay for the first half of the year, but then we really struggled from there on out. So, Bailey, I know you're not a big Falcons fan, but where are you going to grade this offensive line?
I got to keep up with them just because that's where we're at. But I'm going to give them a B-, like you said, maybe even a C+ on the side of the run game. But I think their biggest improvement has been keeping their franchise, Matt Ryan, on his feet, being able to get the job done on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely. That's the area I've been, I think, maybe most proud of. We haven't run it well. That's been one of the things that I've wanted to see us improve on and even get better at with Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. But we haven't had a full stable of backs the past couple of weeks for the Falcons, in Atlanta. Tevin Coleman's been out with I believe, an ankle injury. And, Devontae's been obviously probably feeling a little bit of the wear and tear. We've been running with him and Teron Ward in the backfield. So this bye week is very well timed to try and get some of those guys back healthy. But, looking at the quarterback position here, Matt Ryan being the guy in Atlanta. But, Bailey, where are you going to grade him out, after his early season, I guess, success, if you want to call it that?
I got to give him an A. I've always been a big fan of Matt Ryan. I think he's a more elite quarterback than people realize, more elite than guys like Joe Flacco and guys that have gotten Super Bowl. I still put him above them. I think he does a great job. I think he strikes downfield, not just throws the ball, and I think he really hits his underneath routes because he's had to this year. I think it's been a huge year for him, really solidifying year that he is Matty Ice and he is everyone who they think he could be.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna even go as far to say as to give Matt Ryan an A+. I mean, I think if you want to go this far, he may have a case for most improved player in the NFL. I mean, last year, if you look at what he did, he threw to Julio Jones probably 70-75% of the time that he dropped back to throw the football, and we had to throw the football in a lot of games late because we couldn't run it. So I mean, I think he's one of the most improved players in football, especially with that receiving core, having added Mohamed Sanu. Taylor Gabriel has emerged of late, a speedy guy, slot guy who can hurt you down the field, can run routes very well, and uses speed. We like to get the ball to him in space and just let him outrun guys, kind of like Georgia does with Isaiah McKenzie. Give it to him in space and let him do what he does well, and that's outrun guys and use his speed. But Matt Ryan, I've always said he's better than Joe Flacco, and he's in that, he's a top-tier game manager, if you want to say that. I think this year is Ryan. He's beginning his, I guess you can call it ascension, if you will, into that lower-tier star caliber type quarterback. He's no Tom Brady, obviously, but I do think he has a case to be on that same plane as guys like, Russell Wilson, who everyone just goos and gaws over because he does this. He's won a Super Bowl. He does all these things. Well, I think Matt Ryan is on that same plane with guys like that. And if you say Russell Wilson is a star, if you say guys like that are stars, I think you have Matt Ryan has the exact same case. Eli Manning. If you say Eli Manning is a star, even though he's won 2 Super Bowls, got a couple more Super Bowls than Matt Ryan has. If you say Eli Manning's a star, you have to say Matt Ryan's a star based on the numbers and the ability to make plays and things of that nature. So really like what Matty Ice has done here in Atlanta this year, the improvements he's made in year 2 under offensive coordinator who I thought should have been fired last year. But I've really enjoyed watching his improvement, and I think he's an MVP candidate right now. But, going to move forward here. Running backs, where do you have those guys graded out at? Devontae, Tevin Coleman, and guys like that.
I think you give him a B+ here. I think Coleman's been huge, as well as Devontae. And more than anything, they've been huge in the dump-off game. When they can't get the run game going, they're huge in swing passes and quick outs, zip routes, and they take it and cut it upfield real quick, get 20, 30 yards before they even get touched. They're just both speedy guys and really good receivers out of the backfield. So I think I even bump them up to a B+, a B on the run side of things, B+ on the reception side of things.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna say that as well. I gave him a B. When looking at running backs, I just looked at the the running side of things, but looking at their pass catching ability, they're they've been phenomenal. You can get it to them on quick outs and swings, out of the backfield as a check down option, and they'll take it and go for 20, 30 yards. And then you can also turn around and hand it to these guys, and they can also hit the hole, go for 20, 30 yards. Tevin Coleman has gotten a ton of goal line work this year. He's really proved to be kind of not a short yardage back because he's more of a speed guy, and I think he feels a little bit more comfortable out wide or even coming out of the backfield to catch the ball. But he's gotten a ton of work there. Devontae's shown what he can do. And I love their attitudes, love the way they compete, week in and week out, and the way that they come to play. But looking at them from the receiving standpoint, the way that you can motion them out of the backfield and they can exploit mismatches has changed this offense, even revolutionized it, if you will. Tevin Coleman, a guy who that was the one thing he wanted to get better at in the offseason, was running routes and being split out wide in the slot and making plays out there. So I've really been impressed with him. The way they catch the football, they run routes. And they exploit mismatches on safeties and linebackers who maybe can't get up and cover them or can't run with them as well. I've been very, very impressed with that. So I'm going to give them B, maybe even a B plus with the way they've played as an overall unit there. But looking at another position group on offense before we get to the defense, the receivers. Julio Jones out there. You knew what he can be. You know who Julio is. You know what he's going to do for your team. And also, then you got a guy like Mohamed Sanu, who is a great compliment to Julio. Brought him in the offseason, one of the better offseason signings in my opinion. And then Taylor Gabriel, another guy like I talked about earlier. But Bailey, how are you going to grade these receivers for Atlanta?
I think you have Julio Jones, who many don't realize, but in my eyes is the best all-around receiver in the NFL. Best physical specimen and best down the field guy. He'll go up over 3-4 guys, pull down the ball, and then run 10 yards after the catch. I think you hit the nail on the head. Mohamed Sanu was a huge pickup. I knew it would be in the offseason. They needed someone to complement Jones, and I think he's exactly the guy to do that. Not a huge playmaker, but speedy, and he'll catch the ball, especially over the middle of the field, and that's been huge this season.
Yeah, definitely. I've been very, very impressed with the receivers. I'm going to give them an A-, actually. Julio Jones has been the guy, but even when he's had less than stellar games and, had games where he only caught 1 or 2 balls, other guys have stepped up. You saw Sanu in the Green Bay game. They blanketed Julio. Julio was a little nicked up there as well. And Sanu made plays. He caught the game-winning touchdown and did things like that. Taylor Gabriel can, run routes. They love going to him. Used him in the jet sweep type game against Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago. And they really, really do love this guy and, all their other options as well. I've got to include the tight ends in this one too. You look at guys like Austin Hooper, Jacob Tamme, even Levine Toilolo has shown that he can catch the ball after he was thought to be the blocking tight end. If you include them in the receivers, you have, I think, a consummate stable of guys who can catch the football. Austin Hooper has shown the types of games he can have, even though he looked relatively lost on yesterday up in Philadelphia at times. Levine Toilolo has done a very, very good job for this team in the red zone and making plays there. Jacob Tamme, the veteran presence, who can still get the job done. And even when you have Julio not being, Julio, you still have guys to rely on in Sanu, like you talked about. So I've been very impressed. Best pickup in the offseason by far, I think, for a team who is, right there on the edge of contending. And, I think that they're, the receivers are maybe the best unit, if not, or is the best unit on this football team and the strength of this football team. So, going to go ahead and move forward here just a little bit. Going to look at the defense. Bailey, if you want to go ahead and just grade the whole defense, look at D-line, linebackers, and safeties and corners as a whole, where do you have this unit, grading out?
I think the D-line's been more promising than people would have thought as far as penetration goes, and I think the linebackers, more than anything, have done a better job covering the width of the field. They've always been good in the box. I think they've definitely gotten better at covering those out routes, those quick things that can really hurt you. The secondary as well, I think they've done a really solid job. I might even say they might be the weaker part of the defense, but they've really stepped it up and I've shut teams down on the air attack side of things.
Well, Bailey, I have some news for you. In case you didn't know or hadn't heard, our linebackers are fast and physical. So we've improved in that department as much as any on the football field, I think. We added, Devondre Campbell, Deion Jones, 2 guys, second and third round picks who a lot of people thought, okay, Arthur Blank said he wanted 2 starters or 3 starters, I believe. Did he want 3 starters?
Yeah.
He wanted 3 starters, and what did we get? We go in the first 3 rounds and grab have 3 starters. We get 2 linebackers and a safety. You know, Keanu Neal has proven to be a Cam Chancellor type back there in the back of that defense. Deion Jones, Devondre Campbell have both shown that they can play sideline to sideline at the outside linebacker positions. They've shown they can get in there and stop the run. They can rush the passer a little bit. And then you have, you know, Vic Beasley, a guy in year 2 who has, you know, kind of surged. You know, I think he's second in the NFL in sacks, has made several plays, gotten after the quarterback on several occasions. And then you got the D-line, Adrian Claiborne, guys like that really getting after it, who have, you know, shown they can still make plays and do that even though they're not the youngest guys on the football field. But, yeah, those linebackers, Bailey, I don't know if you've noticed, we're fast and physical on defense, and so I'm going to use that term as much as possible in this show.
I'd say small and fast. Small and speedy, I'll say that.
I'm going to use this term as much as possible on this show right now. We're fast and physical. We're ready to play. We come up and we hit, and we've shown that what we can do. You know, our linebackers, they're not there yet, obviously, and this whole defense isn't there yet. We're not there yet. We still have holes. We still, you know, have gotten exploited a few times in secondary. Some of that's youth, and some of that's not having, you know, the best pass rush or having the right pieces in that defense. But it's improving, and I think that defense, as it improves, as the season progresses, we're going to be more than, you know, formidable come playoff time. We're going to be a force that I think will be, you know, tough to deal with for teams. You know, when we go if we have to go on the road, you know, we've shown we can go on the road and compete like we did in Seattle. And if you get us in the dome come playoff time, you can go ahead and I think you can almost put a W on that one for Atlanta, because there aren't a lot of teams who can come into the dome and win in that atmosphere, a postseason atmosphere, you know, let alone, you know, a regular season atmosphere, but a postseason atmosphere. It's special. It's something that you don't experience a lot. Those guys are going to be fired up and ready to play, those young guys, and I think it's hard to deny the you know, the skill level and the talent this team will have come playoff time. So that's all we got for the Falcons. I'll have that graphic up. The report card will be up for the Falcons. We're going to get that up. Our turnaround here on Monday Morning Sports Junkie is impeccable with midseason grades. We got Georgia's up within the hour. We've gotten Dallas's up already, and we will have the Falcons up as soon as the segment ends. So teachers out there, for all those of you guys wanting to you know, assign these gaudy midterm assignments and things like that. You know, we've done our homework, and you know, here we can get our midterm grades out in the hour. What is your problem? What's wrong? You know, finals may be a little bit different story. We're going to go a little bit more in depth, you know, near the end of the season. Obviously, that'll probably be next semester on the show. But you know, teachers, what's your problem? Our turnaround is impeccable. Why can't yours be? But we're going to take one more quick break before we get into some a little bit more NFL talk. We're going to talk some NFL MVP, Rookie of the Year type stuff, some other, you know, a little bit debatable things. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more debate here. We've been pretty uniform, I think, and that's pretty okay, I think.
So far.
We've been pretty uniform, but I think we have we'll have some differing opinions coming up for you guys. So stick with us, and we'll be right back after a quick break. What's up, guys? We're back. This is your Monday Morning Sports Junkie live on WGUR 95.3 The Noise. I am live from Milledgeville, Georgia, with Mr. Bailey Miller over here. We have already run through some Atlanta Falcons talk and even looked at the Dallas Cowboys, even, if you will. So that has been a little bit painful for me, but nonetheless, we got through it. And so if you want to check us out live, if you got any suggestions, anything you want to hear, if you want to hear Bailey sing a song live on the air, please make sure to tweet me at 953_highlight. You can also check the broadcast out live on Periscope as well if you want to see our beautiful smiling faces this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back into it with some NFL MVP talk. You know, top MVP candidates for you, Bailey. I know who my guy is, but I just want to hear what you have to say on that matter.
And top MVP candidates, I said it earlier, I think you could even hand this one to Zeke on top of Rookie of the Year. I know that's not very likely. But other than that, MVP guys, I think Tom Brady is always in the mix, as usual, especially as the postseason gets here a little closer and it becomes more clear and clear that the Patriots are the Patriots and do what they do and are always a shoe-in for that Super Bowl contention. I think another MVP guy that people just got to recognize, especially, like I said, it'll become more solidified come postseason, by Aaron Rodgers. I think he could be the greatest quarterback of all time with a few more Super Bowl wins to match Brady. But I'm going to go back to my biased ways and say you might as well go ahead and give it to Zeke.
Yeah, you know, that right there, talk like that is why Stephen A. Smith says that Dallas Cowboys fans are the most delusional fan base on the earth. And so, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, if you saw me, you know who my guy is. I tweeted this earlier. At this, I believe it was a Bleacher Report, asked who your top 4 MVP candidates were. And if you saw my tweet, I said my top 4 are Matt Ryan at number 1. Number 2 is the Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback. Number 3 is Matty Ice. And number 4 is the guy who wears number 2 for the Falcons. So, you know where I'm at. But I think Matt Ryan should be the MVP of the league right now. He has the numbers. He's leading the league in passing yardage. One of the top guys in QBR, I think. And I think he does have an inside track on it right now, even though guys are right there on his heels. I don't think he's a shoe-in at this point. He's got to keep being stellar. Got to have great days like he's had in the weeks prior to this week. He wasn't stellar in Philadelphia yesterday. Part of that could have been because of the weather. Another part, you weren't sharp. You've had this weird break after the Thursday night game, and you haven't played in, I believe, 12 days or something like that. There's a weird break there. It's almost like a mini bye week, so it can affect rhythm as well. I understand that, but he's got to keep being stellar and spectacular if he wants to win the award, which I think he can be. They have a bye week this week, so they're going to get a chance to get some rest, to get some guys back healthy. He'll have his full arsenal, and Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, Jacob Tammy back. The defense will be at full strength again. Hopefully you get Devondre Campbell, Deion Jones back at full strength, and some guys like that can make it back, even Desmond Trufant, who didn't play. But looking down my list, obviously, like you said, Tom Brady is a guy who is always there. He I think is a guy who, even after missing 4 games and maybe having the best season in the NFL right now, hasn't thrown an interception, has looked just absolutely marvelous in his return. And then, looking forward, you got guys like I think Derek Carr is another name. He's a young guy in his 3rd year right now out of college, and really has really come on for this Oakland team who leads the AFC West. If you don't remember, they beat Denver in a big Sunday night game, and I think he's got a lot of the weapons. That defense has improved. His offense, around him has got playmakers. He maybe has the best receiving core in football, or at least a top 3 or 4 in Crabtree, Amari Cooper, guys like that who can go out and make plays. But then, on down the list, I think Ezekiel Elliott, you got to put him in contention. I don't know if they'll give him Rookie of the Year and MVP, but I think he's got to be in the conversation. Then you're looking guy like Russell Wilson. The second half he's been having. He had a great one last night. Beat the Patriots, had a very, very good game, even though, there was a little bit of controversy there. The officials once again...
Oh, man, you got to give them the call.
Once again favored the Seattle Seahawks, and it's getting to a point that it's borderline ridiculous at this point. It's like the NBA and LeBron James.
Man, you got to take it back to last season when Dez caught the ball. I mean, the officials clearly always been on the Seahawks side of things.
Yes,
Dez caught it.
It's clear. You missed that one. You missed the blatant pass interference. 2 officials, not one, 2 officials miss it against my Falcons a couple weeks ago. When we win that football game, if Julio gets that call, I understand you can't leave it in the hands of the officials, but come on, you got to make those calls. Those are the easy ones. Those are the ones that you get paid to make. And then, a couple instances like that, it's becoming, just obvious that the NFL likes the Seattle Seahawks for some reason. That is very beyond me. But Russell Wilson, a guy who's having a good year nonetheless. And then, Von Miller leading the league in sacks. I think he can make a late push. And then my last guy, I got a pretty long list, but I think a guy like Dak Prescott, he's been very good.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he'll be in Rookie of the Year conversation. If Zeke wins the MVP, I think Dak will be Rookie of the Year. But I think you have to consider him in what he's done, especially if the Dallas Cowboys find a way to get to the Super Bowl and he keeps putting up, the numbers like the ones he's put up. I don't see why he's not. He doesn't jump up the list and maybe is in the discussion. So
yeah, a lot of guys, a lot of people, their big knock on him is his touchdown numbers. I tell you what, I can't remember when a quarterback's job description changed from winning games to throwing touchdowns. I think the biggest thing he's done is he's led this team to an 8-1 season. The last quarterback to do that was Roger Staubach with Tony Dorsett in the backfield, 1977 Cowboys, and guess what they did? They went on and won a Super Bowl. I think that might be the big thing that gets in the way of Matt Ryan's Cinderella season from being the most improved player on the most improved team, not most valuable player on the best team in the NFL, America's team, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, you can't deny what Dallas has done. I mean, even though I don't love to just fawn over the Cowboys and talk about how great they are, like some people do, even to people who claim to not be Cowboys fans. I'm not even saying Cowboys fans, like you have every right, but people who claim to not be Cowboys fans will sit here and just fawn over Dallas and what they've done, but I love Dallas and Jerry Jones, and they'll play into that media circus that the media, the media does overhype Dallas. I'm not gonna say they don't, but they'll just play into that, and it annoys me on another level. But I mean, I can't deny what Dallas has done. I mean, 8 in a row. I mean, I don't know if 8 in a row. Can't remember the last time that happened. It was with the Super Bowl team, like you mentioned, back in the 70s. So I mean, you can't deny what Dallas has done with their young guys and what Jason Garrett, probably Coach of the Year in my opinion, I think has done. And you got to give him that. I mean, what he's done with what he's had to work with. So I think that obviously you can't deny that. And Matt Ryan, like you said, most improved player on probably the most improved team. I'm not going to deny that either. But I do think Dallas has a very legitimate Super Bowl shot with Dak Prescott back there in the backfield. So that'll be interesting to watch going forward. But going to move forward here, going to look at some Rookie of the Year candidates, on both sides of the ball, even offense and defense. I have a complete list of guys. So, Bailey, who are your guys, your Rookie of the Year candidates? I know we've talked about Zeke, Dak Prescott even, but who are some guys who you think that could still be alive in that discussion?
I said it. I think you still got to include Aaron Rodgers. I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, big advocate for him. I think he's the most all-around talented quarterback. But I'm going to get into Derek Carr, like you said just a little bit ago. I think he's a real dark horse for this award here. He is an amazing quarterback, and I've said that since his draft class. I've always said he'll be the best quarterback out of his draft class. Sure enough, he is. And a year ago, I said the Raiders, and this is a very ambitious prediction, but with the way they're playing, I said they would get to the Super Bowl and win it within 5 years with him at the helm. I think they're well on their way, and I think it has everything to do with him. News released just a week ago that he was about to sign a blockbuster deal in the ballpark of $123 million. Wow. To stay with the Raiders, and they believe in him and that franchise no matter where they end up. I think they have their franchise in Derek Carr and Amari Cooper. And I think people need to recognize and be put on watch that this guy is an MVP candidate, and he really does deserve that recognition.
Yeah, definitely. I'm jumping on the bandwagon as well. But going to jump forward a little bit. Look at Rookie of the Year right here. Who are your guys for Rookie of the Year right here? We already talked about Zeke and Dak, like I said, but who are you guys that are, some first-year guys who have made a splash that you think could take the award home, if one of these two falls off or both of them fall off the radar, off the map?
Man, I don't even know if I can talk about anyone else because I don't see them falling off the map. I tell you what, I think the biggest thing and what people might need to think about is I think Zeke might even take the league MVP, and they might hand Rookie of the Year to Dak. Just the way he stepped up and been huge. But honestly, I think Carson Wentz is another guy. He's had a Hall of Fame season, and that was the Steelers' defense saying that. I mean, he's been very efficient, and it is, and I have to agree with you, America's team, Dallas Cowboys, getting the media attention that they do deserve. But you got to put guys like Carson Wentz up there. I mean, he's come in from his college out there, and I tell you what, man, he has been nothing short of impressive every single week. Yeah. Very efficient in what he does, and he'll be a great NFL quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I think Carson Wentz, he's my third guy on the list right there, even on the offensive side of the ball. I think, his numbers, over 2,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The touchdown numbers aren't there, like you said, about Dak Prescott, but I do agree with what you said. When did playing quarterback in the NFL become more about throwing touchdowns and less about winning games? And Carson Wentz has shown he can win games. He knocked off the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. He has shown, led this team to what I believe 3-0, 4-0 start. Came out, had played well, is still playing well, very efficient, as you said, too. So I think he is a guy who could make a late push and a late surge and maybe steal the award. My last guy here, I thought about Will Fuller, but he's faded in the last few weeks. He's still alive, a dark horse, but, he had a hot start, but he's faded in the last few weeks. And then my last guy, Hunter Henry. A guy, he's another dark horse, but he's been coming out of late. 24 reception, 351 yards, 4 touchdowns, and Phillip Rivers' favorite target besides Antonio Gates, I think. A real good safety blanket, a big guy who is going to make the segue into the future nice for San Diego after Antonio Gates departs to retirement. But, some dark horse guys on the defensive side of the ball I'm looking at. My guy is Deion Jones. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons linebacker, he's one of 4 outstanding rookie starters for Atlanta. He already got 64 tackles, 2 picks. He's a major player, major difference maker in the Falcons front 7, and he keeps improving week in and week out. I don't think I've seen him make the same mistake twice, and I think he's going to make this defense very good. And another guy on the defensive side of the ball, Keanu Neal, a rookie that could, our first rounder, and a rookie that could, be the next Cam Chancellor, if you will. He's a hard hitter, comes up and run support, also defends the pass very well. 65 tackles, 4 forced fumbles on the year, so that's very, very good. And then my last guy, our undrafted free agent, defensive player, Brian Poole, has emerged as the slot corner. I think he's a very, very outside shot to win it, and I don't know if he'll even be in consideration come the end of the year, but he's completely unexpected, and it's, it shows how good Dan Quinn is at recruiting, recognizing who is the guy for his scheme and scouting these guys and seeing their, how good they can be and, seeing potential. But look at what this guy's done. I mean, 36 tackles, 6 passes defended, and he's undrafted. I mean, nobody thought this guy was good enough to take in however many picks there are in the NFL draft. Dan Quinn signs this guy late, and he's making a late push for Rookie of the Year. So, I can't deny what this guy has done, and I think he deserves to at least be in consideration. So, we don't quite have time for a quick break. It's about 8:58. So we can go ahead and run through Super Bowl contenders if you want. I know this segment will make the segment a little bit longer, but if you want to go ahead and jump into Super Bowl contenders, Bailey, that'll be cool. And we can get out of here hopefully as close to 9 as possible. But, who are your Super Bowl contenders? Just give me your top 2 or 3 out of, both conferences, AFC and NFC.
I'm going to go top 2 here. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think you have to. I think they're always in contention. Just the way Tom Brady leads that team, and you know what you're getting with the New England Patriots. Despite a loss last night, which probably should have been a 1, had the dadgum officials not favored the Seattle Seahawks yet again, I think the Patriots are always up there. That's no surprise, but more than anything, I think it comes at the hands of LeGarrette Blount this year. He's been a huge guy for not only my fantasy team, but their team in general. A guy they've signed multiple times and even released, just like Belichick does, but he's back now, and he seems to be resurgent. Now, I got to go with my actual pick here, Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl champions 2016. And I know all the fans say it, but this year, I mean it, it's our year. And I think that comes at the hands of Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott. Like I said, the last time a quarterback on the Dallas Cowboys led them to an 8-win season, 8 in a row, no losses, was Roger Staubach and Tony Dorsett. And in all honesty, we should be undefeated had Terrence Williams had a head on his shoulders that game. And, I mean, you got to think about that. And I know we play in a weaker conference. I recognize that. But it's road wins like last night that make people realize that, hey, this team is for real. And tell me who's going to get past that line. And even when they do, I think Dak Prescott, and what makes him so special, is he's doing things that Tony Romo can't, or at least used to be able to do. He has extended plays like that 3rd and 3 that really turned the game around last night. He was able to scramble around, find Dez on the sideline, and really trademark that offense. I think they're going to take it this year. I really do. They're going to go deep. They're going to rely on the legs of Ezekiel Elliott, the brains of Dak Prescott. And when those fall through, they'll rely on veterans like Alfred Morris. They'll rely on leaders like Dez Bryant to pump the team up, line like Zach Martin, Doug Free. And I think they're really going to get it done. There's something special going on with this Cowboys team this season, something we all get to see. And I know whether you're a fan or not, you got to appreciate a dynasty looking like a dynasty again. And that comes behind the mind of Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones actually letting the team do their job. Thank you, Jerry, for not getting too in the way.
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to look at Dallas, and if you can get past the Seattle Seahawks and the officials, I think you they may be the clear-cut favorite. You asked who can get past that Dallas offensive line. I can tell you who it is. It's the fast and physical bunch from down south from Atlanta. It's that bunch led by Vic Beasley on the edge. Adrian Claiborne, a defensive end by natural position, but moves inside on 3rd downs. And let me tell you, we're so fast, we're so physical that it's going to be. We're just going to manhandle the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. No, we're not going to manhandle them. But I would love to see that matchup, an NFC championship matchup between Dallas and Atlanta in Dallas or the Georgia Dome, either place. It'd be amazing. It'd be a nice change of scenery to see. Nonetheless, I hope that one of these teams goes to Seattle and knocks off the Seahawks in one of the earlier rounds of the playoffs and sets up this nice matchup between the two teams in the NFC, and I won't be mad if either team makes it out of the NFC, to be honest. I want Atlanta to win, don't get me wrong, but either one of these teams I think has a very good shot, along with Seattle. They look like the top 3 in the NFC, barring some late surge from Arizona. I just don't think they have it this year, just with the injuries, and they just don't have the same rhythm that they had last year. The Cardinals don't. But in the AFC, it's the Patriots to lose, but don't be surprised if the Raiders get Tuck Rule revenge. I'm gonna tab them as one of those teams. I think they could not be, their defense isn't too shabby. They're led by Khalil Mack, second-year player. Also added Bruce Irvin, Shalik Calhoun at the strong side linebacker. Then the secondary is much improved. Carl Joseph, a rookie out of West Virginia. Then you got Reggie Nelson and Sean Smith at the corners, and they really hold it down. And then Derek Carr on the offensive side of the ball. We've talked about it. You said it. He's an MVP candidate. And so I think you're looking at one of these two teams out of the AFC. But, anything can happen. Pittsburgh's not out of the mix. Denver isn't out of the mix. But my four favorites, 4 or 5 favorites, I'm taking, Dallas, Atlanta, Seattle in the NFC, and then really New England and Oakland out of the AFC without discounting what Denver can do on the defensive side of the ball, obviously. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for you guys today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We did go a little bit over time today, but we don't have our 9 o'clock class, so we could afford it. Thank you, Bailey, for coming in and really just giving us some hot takes. Really enjoyed having you here. We do hope to get you back on before the end of the semester. Hopefully, we can get Bailey and Collier on at the same time. That would be very, very intense on here. You got 2 rabid Falcons fans, and then Bailey, who is a Cowboys fan, but one Cowboys fan I think equals 2 Falcons fans.
Might even equal 3. I don't know. We can get big sometime.
Yeah, definitely. So, but thank you once again for coming on. I enjoyed it. We hope you had a great time, and I thank all of you for listening. I hope you guys have a great week, a great Monday. You can check the show out. I'll have it up on YouTube hopefully by the end of the week. And we, if you want to check out a segment you missed, check it out on Periscope at 953_highlight. Also, check us out on Twitter. Be sure to follow, retweet. Let us know if there's anything you want to see or hear in the coming weeks. Obviously, I'm open to suggestions always, so just let me know. But thanks again, and hope you guys have a great week as always. Go Dogs, and we'll talk to you guys again next Monday. So have a good one.